Good evening, everyone. I'm Niu Zhe. Our group will present a case study called The Rise and Fall of Park Geun-hye, a case on political corruption in South Korea. We'll look at how Park Geun-hye, South Korea's first female president, went from a symbol of progress to being impeached and jailed because of a major corruption scandal. This case helps us understand the importance of ethics, law, and accountability in government. Let me start by briefly introducing the case and its background. This case focuses on the fall of Park Geun-hye, the 11th president of South Korea. She was removed from office and later imprisoned after being involved in a corruption scandal that shook the country. The case became globally known because it involved powerful business groups, her secretive friendship with Choi Soon-sil, and massive protests across South Korea. It raises serious concerns about political ethics, misuse of power, and vague oversight in high-level leadership. Park Geun-hye became president in 2013, making history as the country's first female president. She came from a political family. Her father was former President Park Chung-hee, and she was supported by the conservative Center Party. However, in 2016, a scandal broke out involving her longtime friend Choi Soon-sil. Choi was found to have access to confidential state matters and was using her influence to collect money from companies like Samsung. The public was outraged, leading to large protests and, finally, Park's impeachment in December 2016. She was officially removed in 2017, later sentenced to 22 years in prison and pardoned in 2021.
I want to talk about the reasons why President Park made serious mistake and how her close friend Choi was invaluable. First, President Park was very lonely and didn't have many close people around her. He treated Choi more than anyone else. Choi was a friend of Park's family for a long time, but she didn't know what for the government. Even so, Park asked Choi for help with speech, plans, and big decisions. This was a big problem. Choi had no official job, no responsibility, but he had a lot of power. Nobody worked for her, nobody could track her action, but she was still helping to run the country. Second, there was weak control over the president's office. Many people in the government didn't know what was really happening. There was no strong rules to stop this kind of seeking help from people like Choi. Third, the government had a very close relationship with big companies in South Korea. These companies are called troubles, like Samsung and Rhodes. Choi asked them to give a lot of money to her foundation. In return, the government gave them space help. This is called corporation use power to get personal gain. Also, Korean culture has a strong respect for leaders and old people. Because of this, many people were afraid to ask questions. In short, Park was made big decision because she's the wrong person, and the system around her was not strong enough to stop the problem. There was no transparency, no strong rules, and no clear separation between business and policy. This case teaches us that even leaders must be watched carefully, and they treat the without responsibility can be very dangerous.
Hello everyone, I'm Li Chunliang. I will tell you about Park Geun-hye's specific offense and legal violation. Park Geun-hye was found guilty of 16 out of 18 charges, including being convicted of bribery, abuse of power, covering and leaking secrets. Her action violated South Korea criminal law, anti-corruption law, and public servant ethics law. Her punishment was originally sentenced to 30 years, later reduced to 22 years due to retrial, and was fined 18 billion Korean won, approximately $70 million. Then, I will discuss the impact of her case on three aspects. For individual, Park Geun-hye's conviction ended her political career and damaged her legacy. Choi-sung, as well as the leader of the Sensum and Latin, have also been present. For organization, large companies such as Sensum and Latin face reputational damage and large consequences. For the country, the scandal weakened public trust in the president, expressed weaknesses in political oversight, and sparked one of Korea's largest protest movement, the Candle Revolution. Alright, my part is finished. Let's go to the next part.
Next is about measures to prevent future corruption. First, reform presidential protocols and transparency standards. Second, strengthen anti-corruption laws and Shinbu regulation. Third, whistleblowers protections and civic education. Fourth, independent ethics monitoring for public officials. Next is about key lessons from the case. First, no one is above the law in a democracy. In a true democracy, all individuals, regardless of position-wise or influence, must be held accountable under the same legal standards. Upholding the rule of law is essential to maintaining public trust and preventing the abuse of power. Second, importance of integrity and transparency in public office. Public officials have a duty to act with honesty, fairness, and openness. Transparent decision-making and ethical behavior are fundamental to good governance, as they deter opposition and foster public confidence in democracy institutions. Third, personal ties should not interfere with governance. Government decisions should be based on the public interest, not personal relationships or parent gain. Fourth, need for strong institutions and active civil society. Equally important is an informed and engaged civil society that can hold power to account, advocate for reform, and protect democratic values. For this reason, this case is not only a warning from the past, but also a driving force for us to move forward, urging the entire country to build a more transparent, responsible, and fair democratic system. That's all. Thank you for your attention.